Welcome to the channel, guys. We are back again, and today I'm going to be talking about 4 fragrances for life, one from each season, designer edition. So stay tuned for that, and if you like the content, guys, hit that like and subscribe button. I really do appreciate it. The idea of this video is that there's going to be one fragrance, one for each season. I have actually picked also an honorable mention for each season, and each fragrance has to be a designer fragrance. I've decided not to include cologne fragrances. Sometimes on designer lists I have done that, mostly because of the price point. But what you actually want to call a cologne house, I'm not sure, but it does feel a little bit like cheating because they do clone a lot of niche fragrances, and it's a way to sort of sneak in a niche fragrance into a designer list. So these are all designer fragrances, and I'm going to be starting with spring because we are in spring right now. So the honorable mention goes to none other than Bleu de Chanel Parfum. Really like this one. This is one of the first fragrances that I really fell in love with. And I put a good dent in this. I've almost used half of this bottle. And that is a lot. So I've put a lot of wear on this one, and I do really like it because of its versatility, its likability, its mass appeal, but it is also really well done, and I think it's better done than any of the other ones. It has a little more depth. It's a little bit darker, a little more mature, and the best thing about it is that all the edges are rounded off. So especially the EDT, EDP, if you smelt it a little closer to your skin, it could have a little bit of a nostril burning effect, which, you know, it smells good in the air, but not up close. This one smells good no matter where you're smelling it. So I do really like that about it. So I think it is really good. Great for professional settings, great for casual settings. And in fact, one of the things about it is that I haven't worn it in a long time. Went back, revisited it actually today, and fell in love with it all over again. So I really do like that about fragrances. Sometimes you get a little tired of something, you put it away for a while, come back to it in a few months, and that love is there again. So really enjoy this one. If you haven't checked out the line, of course, if you somehow haven't smelled anything from the line, check out Bleu de Chanel. It's that blue DNA that everybody knows, and very well done. But for this list, I decided to go with Aqua Noir Sport. I like this one because it's a little bit different for a spring fragrance. It's not something that everybody else is going to be wearing. So with that in mind, it is one that is definitely a little bit polarizing. So some people really love this one. Some people really hate it. This is a vetiver fragrance. It opens up a little bit inky, actually, and I know that puts a lot of people off, but I don't really mind that. And one of the things I get definitely during the mid and before the deeper dry down is that there's kind of this sort of long grass feel with a nice aquatic undertone as well. So it doesn't come off as oceanic, it comes off more like watery, much like a clean water. So it gives me a little bit of an imagery of like marshes or something like that. And it is definitely a darker, more mysterious fragrance, and especially for a spring summer fragrance, I think that's really interesting. So this one is fantastic, and if you like vetiver fragrances, I think it's really well done. Having smelt a lot more high-end niche fragrances and high-end vetiver fragrances, I can actually understand a lot more why people do talk about this one, especially at the price point you can get this one at. I think I paid $25. Very well done, extremely good vetiver fragrance for the price point. So I do like this one, and I'm going to pick this one for spring. Going into summer, my honorable mention, Aqua Joe Profumo. Not a lot really needs to be done or said about this fragrance. I think it's a great, versatile fragrance. You can really wear it any time of the year. Nice oceanic vibes. I get definite sea breeze, salty kind of air with that aquatic kind of nature. And this does have incense, patchouli in it as well, making it a little bit more darker, a little bit more mature, and it is really long lasting. So I do like this one. With this one, it actually took a few wearings for it to really grow on me, but I think the third or the fourth time I tried this one on, really fell in love with it. Haven't really looked back. I do love this one a lot. Happy to have a bottle in my collection. I don't know if this is true. A lot of people have been saying this one is going to be discontinued, which I think is a little bit unusual, since I think this is probably their best seller from the Aqua Joe line, but I could be wrong. I know it's the one that's talked about the most in FragCom, but it is a great fragrance, and I do like it. So this is going to be my honorable mention. The Summer King, however, has to go to a different fragrance. This is one that I absolutely fell in love with, and I'm happy I gave it a chance because I don't really like the rest of the line. I don't dislike the rest of the line, but I love this one, and that is Terre de Hermes Eau Très Fraîche. Absolutely love this one. The biggest difference about this one, I don't get any pepperiness or spiciness. The vetiver is toned down a little bit, and this has that really nice zesty orange up front. So it has a little bit of a bitter vibe, and I really love that in fragrances. So this one really does do it for me, and this is the kind of fragrance that I personally can wear anytime. It is classy, it's well done, but it is also fun and casual because it is it's the Eau Tre fresh version, so it is a little bit more casual with its somewhat aquatic vibes and its more fresher appeal, fresher take on the DNA. I know there's a lot of people that love this one. It's one that I definitely think is underrated, not talked about enough. This is fantastic. And even for people that I think don't like the Terre d'Hermès line, if you do like sort of that fresher, zesty orange kind of vibe, I definitely recommend trying this one out because I'm not a huge fan of the other fragrances. They're okay, but they're not really, I don't think or don't know that I would ever buy a bottle. That might change in the future, but this one I absolutely have to have, and it is my summer go-to fragrance. We are into the fall, and I'm giving my honorable mention to Tom Ford Ombre Leather. That might surprise some people as I talk about this one a lot. It's a fantastic fragrance. This is the easiest wear for leather heavy fragrances that I've ever smelled. It's some people describe as a toned down Tuscan leather. And in some respects, I think that's a fair assessment. It still has that sweet vibe to it, and it has a nice suede that's very easy to like. And this is the fragrance that is the reason I like leather fragrances at all. This really got me into it. And even recently I found myself going back to Tuscan leather, and I actually do like that fragrance now. The first couple times I smelled it, didn't like it at all. But again, I've come to appreciate and enjoy leather fragrances a lot more, and this one is really, really well done, and especially at the price point because this is from the signature line, not from the private blend, so it's a lot more affordable, and occasionally you can find this one on a discounter for a really good price. So that's my honorable mention. My main pick is going to be Dolce Gabbana The One EDP. I know this one's been talked about to death, and for me, for good reason. This is such a well done tobacco amber fragrance. It's so lovely, reminds me of going into like a high class cigar store. Very aromatic, it's easy to wear, it's very versatile as well, and I find the EDP is a little bit richer, a little bit deeper than the EDT. Also does last a little bit longer. You know, the performance is what people tend to complain about. I find with this one, especially if I really want to, I'll put a couple of sprays into unscented lotion, mix that around, I'll put that lotion on wherever I want to spray it, and then I'll put a couple sprays on top. And that definitely improves the projection, the longevity. I'll get at least 6 hours and good sillage if I do that. But ultimately, it's not a terrible performer, and it can be gotten for a pretty good price. So personally, I don't mind reapplying it. But this is just such a well done fragrance. It's great for dates, great for intimate encounters, and it's good for the colder weather. I mean, you really can wear this one most any time when it's not too warm out. So it does have that versatility. It's very mass appealing, very likable, and this was really one of those fragrances that I fell in love with on first sniff. I've also put a pretty decent dent in this one. That's not bad for my collection. I have fragrances that I've worn much less, so I do like this one. Very likable, very versatile fragrance. We're into the final season, winter, and I'm going to actually give my honorable mention to a fragrance I don't own. I don't own it because I do own another fragrance that it reminds me of, and that is Paco Rabanne 1 Million Privé. This is my favorite from the line. Lucky is also very good in my opinion, but Privé is amazing. It does have similarities to me to Aqua Joe, which I love that fragrance. So it has a similar spicy kind of honey and cinnamon vibe. I know there's tobacco in it as well, so it is a little bit different, but it smells so good, and it really does remind me of Aqua Joe, and I might even have purchased a bottle if I didn't have Aqua Joe. But it's just fantastic, very well put together, and great for the colder weather. But the one that I'm going to go with, probably not a surprise to anyone, Spice Bomb Extreme. It's been talked about a lot in the community, I've talked about it a lot, and really this to me could be substituted with the original Spice Bomb as well. I do like them more or less the same amount, and personally I might end up picking up a bottle just to have them both. I do like this one and the original quite a bit. So this one, the biggest thing, very peppery, very spicy in the opening with sweet undertones. Somewhere around the mid, I get this really awesome kind of Coca-Cola vibe. Smells like gummies a little bit to me. I think that's the vanilla in there, and something to do with the spices that's giving me those scent memories. And as this one dries down, it becomes a lot sweeter, more vanilla-y than it does spicy. Little spicy undertones, but it does definitely transition from one end of the spectrum to the other. This is a great fragrance for going out. It is a great fragrance, especially if you're going to be in the cold, because it's pretty beast mode. Not the best for indoors, for in-close encounters. You definitely have to spray it a little bit more conservatively, but especially when it comes to things like, you know, this is another fragrance that I think is pretty good for dates. It's inviting, it's warm, it's sensual, it's really well done. So I do enjoy this one a lot, and I think the original and Extreme are definitely the best the line has to offer. So if for some reason you haven't checked them out, do recommend getting a sample, getting your nose on it, seeing what you think about it. Anyways, guys, that is my 4 Fragrances for Life Designer Edition. Tried to have a few surprises on there, but given that they are designers, I think a lot of people are familiar with a lot of these fragrances, and those are my picks. So leave a comment down below. What are your picks? What 4 Fragrances for Life would you choose? And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.